Number 1. The strongest empire in human history. Can you believe it? At its height, the Mongol Empire conquered a quarter of the world's land area. To put it into perspective, this area is larger than the combined territories of Russia and Australia. From Siberia, the Central Asian steppes to Persia, the Caucasus, the Near East, Eastern Europe, Northern India, and even Southeast Asia, wherever the Mongols set foot, the old order crumbled. So, are you curious about how a nomadic people living on horseback, without fortified cities or overwhelming numbers, managed to defeat nearly every empire they faced? First of all, they were true speedsters. While the armies of other nations trudged along on foot, each Mongol warrior had a fleet of supercars powered by grass. Each warrior had between 3 to 5 horses to alternate between. When one horse got tired, they would immediately switch to another and continue marching day and night. They could cover hundreds of kilometers in just a few days, appearing where no one expected and attacking before the enemy had time to prepare. But speed was not their only weapon. Have you ever heard of the tactic of pretending to retreat to lure the enemy? The Mongols were masters of this strategy. They would turn their horses and flee in the midst of battle, making the enemy believe they had won, only to suddenly turn back and counterattack. While retreating, they could still pivot 180 degrees on horseback and shoot arrows back with deadly accuracy. And if they couldn't defeat a city through speed, they would suffocate it with patience. The Mongols learned siege techniques from the Chinese, using siege weapons and thorough encirclement tactics to completely cut off supplies. When the defenders were forced to open the gates to break the siege, the Mongols would draw them out into open fields, where their cavalry could unleash their full power. Finally, there was the factor that made this empire a nightmare for the world. For cities that resisted, they offered only 2 choices: surrender immediately to be spared, or resist and be completely annihilated. Of course, this was not just an empty threat. In 1219, the city of Otrar in the Khwarezm Empire refused to surrender and even killed a group of Mongol merchants. As a result, after the city fell, nearly the entire population was massacred, with only a few craftsmen kept as slaves. A few years later, it was the turn of Samarkand, one of the wealthiest and most fortified cities in Central Asia, which also chose to resist. When the city gates were breached, the Mongols killed tens of thousands of people, turning a thriving center into a pile of ruins. News of these events spread quickly, leading many cities to choose surrender as soon as they heard the Mongols were approaching. Number 2. The defeats that shook the Mongol Empire to its core. People often say, wherever there is grass for horses to graze, that is the land of the Mongols. However, in reality, there are places where the grass is lush, yet the Mongol forces arrive and vanish. First and foremost, we must mention the nightmare known as Dai Viet, which is present-day Vietnam. At that time, this land was merely a tiny dot on the map compared to the vast expanse of the Mongol Empire. Yet they managed to defeat this war machine not just once, but 3 consecutive times. Even more astonishing, in each rematch, the Mongols doubled, even tripled their numbers for revenge, yet still faced bitter defeat. They lost countless talented generals on this battlefield, to the extent that their famous prince, Tuat Hoan, had to hide in a bamboo tube to be carried back home by his soldiers out of sheer fear. Would you like to know what strategies Dai Viet employed to defeat the Mongols? If so, please comment with the number 2. I will reveal it to you. When discussing the defeats of the Mongols, one cannot overlook their battle with Japan, which is considered one of the most unjust and costly defeats in human history at that time. In the years 1274 and 1281, Kublai Khan mobilized a massive fleet, with the second invasion reaching up to 140,000 troops to attack Japan. This was the largest maritime invasion in world history until World War II. However, the irony is that just as the Mongol forces prepared to land, Mother Nature sided with the home team. Enormous typhoons suddenly appeared and sank nearly the entire fleet to the ocean floor, turning thousands of skilled warriors into shark bait before they could even draw their swords. Before they could recover from their maritime misfortune, the Mongols faced another setback as they advanced into India. There, they encountered the majestic war elephants of the Delhi kingdom. The proud Mongol warhorses, known for their bravery, suddenly became panicked when faced with these monsters towering 10 times their size, and they hesitated to attack. Additionally, the Mongol cavalry, accustomed to flat pastures, was completely overwhelmed by the scorching 40 degrees Celsius heat of the South Asian sun. After numerous attempts to break through but failing to overcome the elephants and the unbearable heat, the Mongols had no choice but to retreat in disappointment. Finally, even when they had advanced close to the gates of Europe and decimated the Hungarian army, the the Mongols were halted before the formidable stone castles. Although they were masters of siege warfare in Asia, the dense and complex stone structures of Central Europe turned their rapid campaign into a deadlock. Coupled with political instability and news of the Great Khan's death back home, this great empire had to order a complete withdrawal, leaving a Europe still bewildered, not understanding why they had escaped death. Number 3. The surprising truth about Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan is already famous worldwide, but did you know that this is not his real name? When he was born in the mid-12th century, he was named Temujin, which means iron or blacksmith. It wasn't until 1206, after he had consolidated all power in his hands, that he was honored with the title Genghis Khan. While Khan is a title that denotes a leader, the meaning of Genghis remains a puzzle for historians to this day. It is believed to imply ocean or justice, but in the context of kingship, it is understood as ruler of the world. Next, many people mistakenly think that a great king like him must have come from a noble background, but in reality, Genghis Khan's childhood was a brutal survival story beyond imagination. At the age of 9, his father was poisoned by enemies. His family was ostracized by their tribe, leaving his poor mother to raise 7 children alone in a starving steppe. To survive, he had to learn how to hunt and gather, and the peak of tragedy came when he was believed to have killed his half-brother over a dispute for food. Not stopping there, his youth was also darkened when he and his young wife were kidnapped, and the future emperor had to endure months of humiliation as a slave. Moreover, another surprising fact about Genghis Khan is that no one knows what he looked like. You heard that right. There are no portraits or sculptures of him from that era that still exist. What we see today, from the long hair to the bushy mustache, on the towering statues in Mongolia, are all products of fragmented records and human imagination. Not only his appearance, but even his death and resting place remain one of humanity's great mysteries. It is known that he died in 1227, but the cause is unknown. Some say he fell from his horse, while others believe he succumbed to malaria or an infected wound. Regardless of the reason for his death, he succeeded in keeping the secret of his tomb, albeit through rather brutal means. According to legend, his funeral procession slaughtered anyone they encountered along the way to prevent information from leaking. Thousands of horses were made to gallop continuously over the burial site to erase any traces of the tomb. Number 4. The shocks of nomadic life in Mongolia. Mongolia is currently one of the very few countries in the world that still maintains a nomadic lifestyle, living in yurts and herding livestock. However, if you think their lives resemble those of primitive people, you are mistaken. Yes, they do live in yurts, but these yurts are equipped with modern amenities such as electric lights, satellite TVs, rooftop solar panels, refrigerators, and even high-speed Wi-Fi powered by batteries. Some wealthy families in Mongolia own multiple mobile homes that they use interchangeably as vacation retreats. Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that no matter how high-tech their lives may be, the nomadic lifestyle still has its hidden challenges that can be quite psychologically unsettling. Take cooking, for example. Due to constant movement, they cannot install gas systems or connect to the power grid, and in a place where grass is abundant, dry firewood is a luxury. So, what is their solution? They use dung. Yes, you heard that right. They collect dried cow, goat, and horse dung under the sun on the steppe, stacking it into small mountains to start fires for cooking and heating. Many travelers have been shocked to discover that the hot grilled meat they are enjoying was cooked using cow dung. However, there's no need to worry, as the livestock here only eat natural grass, making their dung completely clean, non-toxic, and notably odorless. In fact, many visitors even claim that the fire from cow dung emits a light, pleasant aroma reminiscent of herbs. Of course, whenever they move to a new location, they cannot bring a toilet or a bathroom with them. So, are you curious about where they go to the bathroom? It's quite simple. They just dig a hole about 1 to 2 meters deep and place a wooden plank with a hole on top. They will temporarily surround it with a few wooden planks to signal that this is a toilet. There is no complex flushing system or waste treatment here. The waste will decompose naturally over time. Finally, if you are someone who enjoys daily bathing, then life on the steppe is definitely not for you. In a land where water is more precious than gold, the Mongolians prioritize water for drinking, making milk tea, and sustaining their thousands of livestock. Daily bathing is considered an extreme waste of water. Therefore, the locals typically bathe only a few times a month. On the remaining days, they practice dry bathing by wiping themselves with a cloth, warming their bodies by the fire, or using herbal ash to clean their skin. Would you dare to try grilled meat cooked with cow dung? If so, comment with the number 4. Number 5. The strange rituals and customs of the Mongolian people. When you visit Mongolia and accidentally touch someone with your foot, you should immediately shake their hand if you don't want to get into a fight. The Mongolians inherit a resilient warrior spirit and place great importance on honor. In the steppe culture, touching someone with your foot is seen as a provocation for a wrestling match or even a deadly brawl. Moreover, feet are considered the lowest part of the body, so allowing your lower part to touch someone else is a serious insult to their dignity. Therefore, a quick handshake is not only an apology, but also a symbol of peace, helping you avoid an unwanted test of strength. If you stay here long enough, you will notice that Mongolian men have a unique greeting ritual. They smell each other. But don't get it wrong. They are not sniffing each other's body odor, but rather the scent from a snuff box. Snuff is a type of finely ground, dried tobacco mixed with wood ash, salt, and herbs. Mongolians keep this powdered tobacco in small boxes, made from precious materials like jade, coral, or agate, serving as a statement of the owner's status and wealth. During each encounter, the inviter presents the snuff box with their right hand while gently placing their left hand on their right elbow to show utmost respect. The recipient also accepts it with their right hand, and both open the box to take a light sniff of the herbal tobacco before returning it to each other as a subtle wish for good luck. In terms of beliefs, the Mongolians maintain many ancient rituals to connect with nature. One of these is the fire worship ceremony. For them, fire symbolizes life and is the soul of the family. Each day, after brewing the first pot of milk tea, the woman will scoop the first spoonful of tea to offer to the fire god for blessings. Furthermore, since fire is considered sacred, there are several taboos, such as not throwing trash or dirty objects into the fire, not using water to extinguish the fire, but allowing it to burn out naturally, or covering it with ash, and not stepping over the cooking fire. Additionally, did you know that a segment of the Mongolian population practices a rather controversial form of burial known as sky burial? When someone passes away, their body is not buried or cremated but taken to the mountains and placed in nature for vultures to consume. These individuals follow Tibetan Buddhism and believe that the body is merely a shell, while the soul has transcended. Leaving the body to nature is a way to repay the earth and sky, allowing the deceased soul to be released gently and without burden. Number 6. Hell for vegetarians. If you are a vegetarian, Mongolia might be one of the most terrifying places on earth for you. In this country, traditional meals almost never include vegetables. It's not that they don't like eating vegetables, it's simply that there are no vegetables to eat. In the vast steppes covering hundreds of thousands of square kilometers, the land is arid, the climate is harsh, and winters last nearly 8 months each year, with temperatures often dropping to -30 degrees Celsius, making agriculture nearly impossible. However, Mongolia is not only a nightmare for vegetarians, it is also not suitable for those who are allergic to organ meats or easily disturbed by the sight of certain dishes. In nomadic culture, Mongolians have an almost absolute principle: no part of the animal should go to waste. Blood, stomach, intestines, head, tongue, cheeks, brain, and even the tissue around the eyeball can all become food. They make blood sausages from sheep organs, boil whole sheep heads in their own stomachs, and consider eating tongue or brain completely normal. If you don't eat meat, your only option is the white foods made from milk and cheese. Mongolians have an extensive list of dishes made from various types of milk, from cow's milk and goat's milk to the famous arag, a fermented horse milk drink. In fact, milk often substitutes for daily drinking water. Interestingly, many studies show that the lactose intolerance rate among Mongolians is extremely high, estimated to be around 90–95% of the population. According to conventional biological logic, they should face serious digestive issues when consuming such large amounts of milk. But in reality, they do not. Mongolians still drink milk daily, eat cheese, and consume fermented milk products while remaining perfectly healthy. Some scientists suggest that they have gradually adapted through fermented dairy products, where lactose is significantly broken down. There are also hypotheses that after hundreds of years of relying on milk, their bodies have evolved in their own way. In popular folklore, people simply joke that they have been continuously fed milk since childhood until their bodies gave up and stopped reacting to lactose. So, if you are a vegetarian, would you still want to travel to Mongolia? Comment your answer below. Number 7. Beautiful, talented women who are single. Mongolian women often make a strong impression at first glance with their fit, healthy physiques and vibrant energy. This is not surprising, as their lives have been intertwined with constant movement, long horseback rides, and outdoor living in harsh natural conditions since childhood. A notable feature among many Mongolian women is their high, full cheekbones, which appear quite charming. This trait is seen as an adaptation to the cold climate, as the thickness of the cheeks helps retain heat for the face and reduces the direct impact of cold winds on the eyes and nose. Beyond their appearance, the personalities of Mongolian women differ significantly from the gentle, reserved archetype commonly found in many Asian countries. They are independent, straightforward, and strong, to the point where they are sometimes likened to female warriors of the steppe. In a nomadic society, women do not stand behind men. They work, herd livestock, set up tents, and endure snowstorms and harsh winters just as much as men do. In fact, many Mongolian women can drink quite well, and it's not uncommon for their tempers to be even more fiery than those of men after a few drinks. In terms of education, Mongolian women clearly have an advantage over men. Statistics show that about 62% of university graduates in Mongolia are female, while in many parts of Asia, girls have historically faced limitations in educational opportunities. In Mongolia, raising daughters to be independent, socially engaged, and confident in expressing themselves has become quite common. This environment fosters strong development in thinking, education, and adaptability to modern society among Mongolian women. However, this very development creates an interesting paradox. Many Mongolian women today, despite being capable and independent, face considerable challenges in their romantic lives. This is partly due to the disparity in educational levels and life perspectives between men and women, especially in rural areas, where many men still adhere to conservative, less open lifestyles and are more dependent. In this context, an increasing number of Mongolian women are expanding their opportunities to connect beyond national borders. International dating apps like Tinder and Bumble are becoming familiar, helping them meet men from various cultural backgrounds. Many of them express appreciation for the respect, equality, and spirit of sharing that Western men demonstrate in relationships. So, would you dare to become a son-in-law of the steppe? If you're curious about the secrets to connecting with Mongolian girls, just leave a 7. Number 8. A country with cursed geography. If there were an award for the country with the most disadvantageous geographical position on the planet, Mongolia would almost certainly be the top contender for the title. This country is tightly squeezed between two superpowers, Russia to the north and China to the south, meaning that nearly all of its foreign economic activities depend on these two gigantic neighbors. Whether it wants to export coal or copper, or import consumer goods, Mongolia has no choice but to route its products through the territories of Russia or China. In fact, even a slight change in policy, tariffs, or diplomatic relations could almost instantly choke off Mongolia's entire supply chain. Moreover, Mongolia holds an unwanted title that no country desires. It is one of the most landlocked nations on Earth. Without direct access to the ocean, getting a shipping container to the sea requires passing through at least 2 intermediary countries, with transport distances stretching thousands of kilometers. As a result, logistics costs soar to extremely high levels, making Mongolian goods almost akin to luxury items that struggle to compete on price in international markets. You might wonder, why not use airplanes for faster transport? The simple answer is that their economy currently cannot afford the exorbitant shipping fees. In addition, Mongolia experiences one of the harshest climates among inhabited countries. The temperature range here is among the most extreme in the world. Summers can scorch everything at plus 40 degrees Celsius, but just a few months later, winter turns the steppe into a natural freezer, with temperatures plummeting to negative 40 degrees Celsius. Notably, Mongolia frequently faces the phenomenon known as dzud. Dzud occurs when the previous summer is too dry, leaving livestock without grass, followed by an early winter with heavy snow and frozen ground. Livestock cannot dig for food, leading to mass starvation. In some years, millions of livestock have perished after a single winter. It is worth noting that animal husbandry is the backbone of Mongolia's economy, so each dzud event is like a direct blow to the livelihoods of the entire nation. Furthermore, much of Mongolia's territory is covered by the Gobi Desert, one of the largest deserts in Asia. This area is extremely rich in resources, boasting some of the world's top coal, copper, and gold deposits. Ironically, however, extracting these treasures presents a nearly insurmountable challenge. The Gobi is severely water scarce, sparsely populated, has limited transportation infrastructure, and the costs of transporting resources from the desert to international markets are so high that many projects become economically unviable. Number 9. The symbolic animals of Mongolia. One startling fact that many people find surprising when mentioning Mongolia is that the number of horses in this country exceeds 4.8 million, even outnumbering its population. When talking about Mongolian horses, one cannot overlook the Przewalski horse, the most famous wild horse species in history and considered the last remaining wild horse lineage on Earth. They have a compact body, broad chest, slender belly, sturdy legs, and their coats typically feature a distinctive reddish-brown or dark brown color. An adult individual weighs about 227–294 kilograms, stands around 1 meter tall, and measures nearly 1.9 meters in length. Having been shaped over thousands of years in the harsh steppes, these horses possess extraordinary endurance, can detect danger from nearly 300 meters away, and can sprint up to 40 kilometers per hour. However, due to hunting and habitat loss, they have been classified as endangered since 1960. Today, Kustane Naru National Park in Mongolia is home to the largest population of Przewalski horses in the world, with about 300 individuals reintroduced into the wild. If horses are the soul of the steppes, then eagles are the symbol of the Mongolian sky. In the western Altai region, the Kazakh people in Mongolia continue the tradition of hunting with eagles. This is one of the oldest forms of hunting still practiced today. These eagles are trained to hunt rabbits, ferrets, and other small animals, becoming the living weapons of hunters amidst the majestic mountains. Interestingly, only female eagles are chosen for this purpose, as they are larger, stronger, and more aggressive than their male counterparts. The hunters raise the eagles from a young age, feeding them, living alongside them, and even allowing them to perch on their arms for hours to familiarize them with human presence. Each day, the eagles are trained to fly out to hunt their targets and return precisely to their owner's arm. Over time, the bond between the hunter and the bird deepens to the extent that many hunters refer to the eagle as their firstborn child. When the eagle grows old and weak, they hold a solemn ceremony to release it back into the mountains, restoring freedom to the warrior of the sky as a way to express gratitude and absolute respect. Finally, one cannot forget the Bactrian camel, a symbol of the Gobi Desert. Mongolia currently has the largest population of Bactrian camels in the world, estimated at around 460,000. With their large size, extraordinary endurance, and ability to survive in arid conditions, camels are the backbone of nomadic life in the desert. The Mongolians use them to transport goods, milk, wool, and even livelihoods across generations. Notably, Mongolia has a unique tradition related to this animal called the custom of soothing camels. This ritual is performed when a mother camel rejects or abandons her calf. The herder places the calf next to its mother while playing a horsehead fiddle or violin and singing gentle, soothing folk songs. The music and singing are believed to calm the mother camel's emotions, helping her accept her offspring. In many cases, both the mother and the calf end up shedding tears. Number 10. Ulaanbaatar, the coldest capital in the world. Forget Moscow or Ottawa. If you want to find the true freezer of the planet, you must head to Ulaanbaatar. Situated at an altitude of 1,350 meters in the heart of the Mongolian steppe and directly influenced by the Siberian high-pressure system, one of the coldest and most powerful pressure systems in the world, this city officially holds the title of the coldest capital in the world. The average temperature here hovers around -2 degrees Celsius, and in winter, it can plummet to -42 degrees Celsius. Due to the extreme cold, hundreds of thousands of households are forced to burn coal for heating, resulting in the city being perpetually shrouded in a layer of coal smoke. On the coldest days, Ulaanbaatar frequently ranks among the most polluted cities in the world, making breathing outdoor air a real challenge. Interestingly, beyond the high-rise buildings and the yurts above, few know that beneath this icy capital lies an underground world. Approximately 7,000 people currently live in the heated tunnel system beneath Ulaanbaatar. This phenomenon began in the 1990s, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, when Mongolia's economy fell into crisis, and poverty and unemployment drove many to live in tunnels originally built to channel heat for the city. These dark, cramped, and dangerous spaces gradually became makeshift shelters warm in winter, yet fraught with risks and lacking safety. However, to truly understand the soul of this capital, you must visit Narantul, the largest and most chaotic market in Mongolia. Here, the concept of nothing is impossible becomes a reality, as you can find everything from intricately carved saddles, nomadic jur tents, rare fur coats, to parts of old tanks and military relics from wartime. Interestingly, this market has no fixed prices. Everything depends on your bargaining skills. Number 11. Mysterious places in Mongolia. About 40 kilometers south of Lake Kuvsgol lies an area known as Ushigin Uver, where hundreds of ancient stone statues of human figures stand resolutely in the steppe, with no one knowing exactly who erected them or for what reason. These statues, ranging from 1 to 4 meters in height, are made of granite or limestone, featuring distinct faces with curled mustaches, round eyes, and prominent noses, sometimes adorned with earrings and necklaces. Some statues tightly grip swords positioned before their bellies, evoking images of ancient warriors. However, the puzzling aspect is that the lower parts of the statues often lack legs, standing upright on the ground as if they have sprouted from the steppe itself. Archaeologists estimate that these statues date back between 1,200 and 3,000 years, yet no traces of any sufficiently developed culture capable of carving stone in this region during that time have been found. Additionally, there are no inscriptions or symbols on the statues to help decode their meaning. One hypothesis suggests that these are burial markers for nomadic chieftains, but excavations have shown that many statues are not associated with any graves. Others believe they may be ritual structures related to ancestor worship, but there is no concrete evidence to support this. Notably, despite being scattered over hundreds of kilometers, most statues face east, as if waiting for the sunrise, further complicating researchers' attempts to explain their original purpose. In a remote area near the eastern border of Mongolia, the Ik-Bogd mountain range hosts a natural phenomenon that has prompted scientists to return for investigation multiple times: circular burn marks that suddenly appear amidst the dry, rocky terrain. These burn circles range in diameter from a few meters to over 20 meters, with charred, barren surfaces, while the surrounding edges still support normal grass growth. They appear at different times throughout the year, often following strong winds. Local residents refer to this phenomenon as the footprints of heavenly fire, as they have witnessed flashes of light at night, only to discover burn marks the following morning. Some witnesses even report smelling a faint burning odor in the air, yet they hear no explosions or thunderclaps. No one has ever seen sparks or flames spreading, nor have any signs of human activity related to fire been found. Meteorologists once theorized that this could be the result of dry lightning, a type of lightning that occurs without rain, but cameras and thermal sensors have not recorded any lightning strikes at the relevant times. Some suggest that there may be flammable gas pockets underground in this area, but soil samples do not contain enough organic material to sustain smoldering fires. Another research group proposed a hypothesis involving unusual electromagnetic fields that concentrate energy at a point and then explode, but no equipment has been able to measure such phenomena. Notably, at the center of some burn circles, compasses become erratic or spin wildly, drawing more attention to the magnetic theory. However, after numerous surveys, this phenomenon remains unresolved. Number 12. Unique places in Mongolia. The Orkhon Valley in central Mongolia is an ideal destination for understanding the formation and expansion of nomadic empires. It was once the power center of the Tibetan Empire, the Uyghurs, and the early Mongol Empire. Within the valley lie the ruins of the ancient city of Karakorum, the first capital of Genghis Khan, where he hosted foreign envoys and issued commands for his vast empire. The remnants of Karakorum include city gates, the foundations of palaces, a minting workshop, and notably, the Erdane-Zu Monastery, the first Buddhist monastery in Mongolia, built in the 16th century using stones from the ancient city. Beyond its historical significance, the Orkhon Valley boasts breathtaking landscapes of rivers and mountains, expansive steppes, and the 20-meter-high Ulaanbaatar waterfall amidst the grasslands. In summer, many nomadic families camp here, and visitors can explore the area on horseback or stay in traditional ger tents with the locals. A few hundred kilometers south of Orkhon is the Kongarin Els Nature Reserve, home to massive sand dunes rising up to 300 meters in the Gobi Desert. Despite being situated in a dry, semi-desert region, the sand dunes here are surprisingly vibrant, exhibiting a phenomenon known as singing sand, where the wind blowing through the layers of sand creates a sound reminiscent of deep, prolonged music. Kongarin Els is also unique for its underground spring, which allows a strip of greenery to grow amidst the sea of sand, creating a striking contrast. In the early morning or late afternoon, the slanting light causes the dunes to change color from yellow to pink, making it an ideal spot for photography. Further west lies Lake Uvs, one of the harshest places in Mongolia, yet home to an incredibly rich ecosystem. This is the largest saline lake in Central Asia, 5 times the size of Singapore, but it has no outlet to the sea, resulting in salinity levels about 5 times higher than that of seawater. Nevertheless, the area around the lake is a habitat for over 200 bird species, including flamingos, golden eagles, and black-necked swans. Notably, in winter, the lake completely freezes over, with temperatures dropping to as low as -50 degrees Celsius, yet many animals such as snow foxes, Pallas's cats, and saiga antelopes still thrive in the region. UVs also preserves remnants of many ancient cultures, with hundreds of stone inscriptions, petroglyphs, and ancient tombs scattered around the lake, dating back to the Bronze Age. Due to its proximity to the Russian border, this area sees very few international tourists, with only scientists and nomads living sporadically along the shores. Number 13. Interesting festivals. Every July, Mongolia enters the Naadam Festival season, the largest and most traditional event of the year. The festival lasts from July 11 to 13 and takes place in most provinces, but the grandest celebrations are held in Tuv province and central areas. Naadam focuses on three traditional sports that the Mongolians refer to as the three manly skills: wrestling, horse racing, and archery. Each event is deeply rooted in the culture of the nomadic people. Wrestling has no weight classes and no time limits. The winner is the one who remains standing without being thrown down. Each match begins with a dance that mimics an eagle spreading its wings, performed by the wrestlers to honor tradition. Horse racing does not take place around a track, but rather involves galloping over distances of 15 to 30 kilometers, with most competitors being children aged 5 to 13. Archery is conducted in a traditional manner, using bows made of wood and horn, with targets consisting of hundreds of small tubes laid out on the ground. The archer must stand and sing while shooting. In the far western region of Mongolia, where the Kazakh community resides, the Eagle Hunting Festival presents a completely different event, combining both sports and unique cultural elements. This festival typically takes place in early October in the city of Ulji, when the weather begins to cool and small game is more active, making it convenient for training, hunting birds. Participants are primarily Kazakh men riding horses, dressed in fox fur coats, holding massive golden eagles weighing up to 7 kilograms. The competition revolves around the bird's ability to fly on command, dive to catch a dummy prey, or pursue real game. Each bird is trained for many years, often starting from a young age. Additionally, the festival features a costume contest, where participants are judged based on the intricacy of their leather outfits, fur cloaks, and intricately carved saddles. While the Eagle Festival showcases the relationship between humans and animals, the Tsam Festival is a completely spiritual event held in Buddhist monasteries in August or September, depending on the location. The Tsam ceremony is a sacred mask dance ritual where monks don large costumes and masks that represent deities, demons, or figures from Tibetan Buddhist cosmology. Each dance tells a story through movement, aimed at driving away evil spirits, purifying negative karma, and bringing peace to the community. The masks are made of painted paper mache, with some standing over a meter tall and weighing several dozen kilograms, requiring the dancers to undergo rigorous training. The atmosphere during the ceremony is enlivened by the sounds of drums, horns, and chanting, occasionally interspersed with laughter, as the evil spirits are vanquished. Number 14. Cost of living in Mongolia. The cost of living in Mongolia shows a significant disparity between the capital city, Ulaanbaatar, and other regions, heavily influenced by the harsh climate and reliance on imported goods. In Ulaanbaatar, particularly in central districts like Sukbatar, Bayanzurk, and Chingiltai, the rent for a one-bedroom apartment typically ranges from $400 to $700 per month, depending on the location, the age of the building, and the heating system. Older apartments or those located farther from the center can be cheaper, around $250 to $400. In smaller cities or rural areas, rental prices are generally much lower, commonly between $150 to $300 per month, but housing options and amenities are quite limited. Food costs in Mongolia have some unique characteristics. Due to the harsh natural conditions, many vegetables and processed foods need to be imported, making prices higher than in many other Asian countries. For someone who cooks at home, the average monthly food expense usually falls between $150 to $220. Public transportation in Ulaanbaatar is inexpensive but not particularly convenient. Bus fares are typically around $0.3 to $0.40 per ride, while taxi fares start at about $0.7 to $1. However, travel distances are often short due to traffic congestion, especially in winter. Internet and telecommunications costs in Mongolia are average. A mobile plan with domestic calls and about 20 to 30 gigabytes of data usually costs between $8 to $15 per month. Home broadband internet with speeds of around 100 megabits per second ranges from $15 to $25 per month, but connection quality can be unstable, particularly in winter when demand increases. Overall, the monthly expenses for a person living in Ulaanbaatar with a relatively comfortable lifestyle typically range from $650 to $900, not including additional costs such as winter heating or travel outside the city. Number 15. Tips for traveling in Mongolia. When traveling between tourist spots in Mongolia, many foreign visitors may encounter issues with enticing short tours offered at bus stations or near the central square. The initial prices are often quite low, but once the vehicle leaves the city, the organizers start asking for additional payments for fuel, meals, or entrance fees to conservation areas that were not mentioned beforehand. Therefore, if opting for spontaneous tours, it is essential to inquire about the total package cost, including the return trip, and to agree on everything clearly in advance. Another point to note concerns sleeping in jur tents with locals. In reality, not all jurs are legally registered homestays. Some families set up temporary tents near popular spots and invite guests to stay overnight at low prices. Problems often arise when, the next morning, the hosts request extra payment for blankets, dinner, or firewood, even though this was not mentioned the night before. If staying in a jur, it is advisable to ask whether the tent is registered for hosting guests, and to clarify what is included in the price. When purchasing souvenirs such as leather goods, silver items, or products made from bone, many tourists overlook that some items are restricted from being taken out of Mongolia. There have been cases where traditional carved knives or jewelry made from animal bones were confiscated at the airport due to a lack of certification. Sellers often do not clarify this issue, as they do not take responsibility for customers when they leave the country. It is best to directly ask whether the item can be taken on the plane, and to avoid purchasing sharp objects or items made from wild animals. Lastly, regarding travel across the steppe, many local drivers confidently claim they know the way, but in reality, many areas lack signposts and rely solely on memory and old tire tracks. When it rains or there is fog, vehicles can easily get lost, taking hours to return to the main road. If renting a private vehicle, it is advisable to ask whether the driver is familiar with that specific route and to prepare clear landmarks for reference. And so, we have just explored 15 interesting facts about Mongolia together. I hope the information provided has given you a fresh and clearer perspective on this vibrant country. If you found the video valuable, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to continue joining us on our upcoming exploration journeys.